and we are looking forward to it unfolding. And taking us to the call and taking us to the race, let's get back over to Greg White and Jason Pridmore for Mission King of the Baggers, Race 1 at VIR.
We're thundering towards the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship. This round is MotoAmerica Superbikes at Brainerd from right here in Minnesota and the famed Brainerd International Raceway. It's time for Mission King of the Baggers, race number 1 of our 5th round of this class for the season. Welcome everyone to the broadcast, and welcome to the broadcast booth. I'm Greg White, standing alongside 2-time AMA champ Jason Pridmore. Now, Jason, so far this season, we thought we were going to see that Indian factory versus Harley-Davidson factory battle, but we've had a lot of privateers in the mix.
We really have. The Vance and Hines Harley-Davidsons have made a big step with Rispoli and Hayden Gillum. Obviously, Kyle Wyman leading the points. This being Indian's home race here at Brainerd, you can be guaranteed that you're going to have O'Hara, McWilliams, and Bobby Fong, who won here last year. They're going to be giving those Harleys all they got.
It's been quite a fight in the championship so far, and you think it would be Harley-Davidson against Factory Indian Motorcycles, but it's those two, James Rispoli and Hayden Gillum, on the Vance and Hines Privateer bikes that really throw themselves in the mix. And for James Rispoli, who led this championship earlier on in the season, he's only 5 points behind Kyle Wyman. And our very own Hannah Lopa had a chance to catch up with Hog Spoli and talk to him about this season and the future.
James Rispoli is certainly having a successful season thus far in his charge toward the championship, currently second in the point standings. James, you've been so consistent and you've had so much success lately. How do you plan to kind of build on that heading into this weekend?
Yeah, last weekend, our last race at Laguna was probably our biggest step forward. The team's been working super hard. You know, running against two factories is always tough with development, but the Vance and Hines team, every single time we go home, they come out with some new part or just an understanding of the bike better. So Laguna was huge for us just because I was able to track down Kyle. I don't think really anybody's been able to do that if he's had more than a second lead. So for us, that was a massive step. And to have Hayden there with me in both races just show our team and our ecosystem here has been really good.
Vance and Hines looking to get back on the top step of the podium, guys.
Without question, they are. But, Jason, here's the racetrack they're going to have to race up, Brainerd International.
Yeah, and you're going to see from that start into very fast turns 1 and 2, heavy braking down into turn 3. That's where we saw Bobby Fong make an outside pass last year and go on to win all through those S's. But, Greg, the interesting part of this track for me on these big bikes, turns 8, 9, 10, and 11, very physical part of the track on these 600-pound motorcycles. They're going to get one last shot at somebody to pass down in turn 12 before they flick back to the right under the tunnel and head to that checkered flag.
This can make for very exciting racing, and you have to have a balanced motorcycle. How about this guy, Kyle Wyman, superbike rider turned king of the baggers racer. He's looking for another one and extending.
All right, fans of all flavors here, as we are getting ready to go, I wanted to kind of just add on to what Jason and Greg were just talking about. These bikes are heavy. So one of the things about this track, 1 and 2, so fast here with the weight of these bikes, there's got to be some serious centrifugal forces that are making those bikes want to do things. Then you got some of the change of direction, but it's flowy at 4, 5, 6. But that 8, 9, 10 complex, especially through that chicane, it's like it takes these guys forever to get through there. And it's just because you can't just gas it because of the power and the weight of these things.
Yeah, the weight is, and honestly, it's pretty incredible how fast they can get those things to change directions through that chicane.
Yeah, it is amazing the development they've done, but weight is weight, that's for sure, and they've got some power here. So it's baggers time. Can't wait for this one.
Mission King of the Baggers coverage is brought to you by Mission Foods, the world's leading brand for tortillas and wraps. By Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. By Geico. Visit geico.com to see how easy covering your ride can be. And by Drag Specialties, an industry-leading distributor of aftermarket parts and accessories for Harley-Davidson and custom V-twin motorcycles.
We're back at Brainerd International Raceway with our Lucas Oil helicopter shot. Gives us an opportunity to look at the grid. Bobby Fong on pole, Jason.
Next to him, Hayden Gillum and Tyler O'Hara, with Kyle Wyman, Rispoli, and Jake Lewis rounding out row number 2 with Onsorg, Jeremy McWilliams, Travis Wyman, Corey West, Flinders, and Eslick will be coming back from row number 4. And then on the back, we got Frankie Garcia and Patricia Fernandez.
All right, so this is Indian Motorcycles home track. We talked about that as the riders line up for this 9-lap affair in Mission King of the Baggers.
Just saw Max Flinders come down the pit lane also.
No. That's a shame. A lot of fans of that M3 Revolution performance. The number 88, Max Flinders, might be out for this one on his Indian Challenger. But it looks like the grid is forming up. Yep, there he is.
Such a bummer. He was riding so good at Laguna before his off as well.
Race 1, Mission King of the Baggers. When those lights go on, we're getting ready to get after it. Here we go. Oh, and a big jump from the middle from
Hayden Gillum.
Hayden Gillum.
Oh, man. Kyle Wyman, and it looked like one of the other Indians got together right off the start. I'm trying to figure out who that might have been, but Rispoli's found himself up into third with Gillum second and Tyler O'Hara leading the way.
A lot of Minnesota pride on the line for Indian Motorcycles. Let me get a part on the racetrack. You can see right part of your screen. That looks like might be part of one of the bags on these baggers. So the number 1 at Tyler O'Hara. There was an event earlier today, Jason, a 3-lap affair. Let's take a look at the start before we get into all of that. And you can see the middle, Hayden Gillum trying to find some traction there.
Yeah, and it looks like Kyle gets over to the left of him, or gets over, and then it looks like, oh, it's Rispoli and Wyman that connect with each other. So Kyle kind of took evasive action to get away from Gillum, put him in a little bit of the path of Rispoli.
Overhead shots from our Lucas Oil helicopter of our leaders. So now we have Factory Indian against a couple of privateer Vance & Hines Mission Harley-Davidson road glides of Hayden Gillum, who's doing triple duty this weekend. Jason, is Hayden Gillum.
Yeah, he's riding a lot. He's getting a lot of laps around this Brainerd racecourse. As you can see, Tyler O'Hara out front, and oh man, Bobby Fong gets right up in behind. Was it Onsorg that he was up behind there?
Might have been number 5, Kyle Onsorg.
Yeah. I'm just looking to see here as they come across. We'll get a chance to see who that was, but yeah, it's Onsorg in 4th. Bobby Fong, who obviously was one of the guys that we picked to kind of be one of the guys that can win this race. He's found himself way back in 5th early on, so he's going to be trying to work his way through. And you were talking about a race that happened earlier on the day, the Mission Foods Challenge race, the 3-lap race that saw Tyler O'Hara win over Bobby Fong.
Certainly did, and that was $5,000 for him. Let's welcome the 3rd member of our team, Hannah Lopa, into the mix.
It looks like Jeremy McWilliams is having a problem here, but I wanted to add on Hayden Gillum. You know, you mentioned Hayden's running triple duty here this weekend. He's got 6 races plus that challenge race, and I asked him, you know, how do you kind of prepare for that? And he said, it's really nice to be able to go home and just kind of take a mental break. The only weights he's really lifting is his baby son, and he'll hopefully have one for another arm here soon, as his wife Summer is expecting. But a lot of espresso. James Rispoli did get his espresso machine, so, you know, he's just taking it one race at a time, Hayden Gillum.
Good news that Rispoli got his espresso.
That is good news, and congrats to Hayden on another edition coming soon. But Gillum this morning in that challenge race had some pace, and it was a race between basically O'Hara and Fong. And once on the last lap, Gillum was able to get past Rispoli and move forward. So on this Vance & Hines Harley-Davidson, Gillum, who won at Laguna Seca last time out, we saw him take a win. And after the misfortunes of both Kyle Wyman and Tyler O'Hara, Gillum looked like he had some pace here on that bike. Bike looked like it handled really well. This, to me, is where the Indian seems to have a little bit of an advantage. Look how it jumps off that corner, Greg, gets that acceleration. Now through here, this is where the big differences have been made with the testing that Vance & Hines has gone and done. And they've made their bikes a little bit more nimble, a little bit stronger, as has the factory Harley of Kyle Wyman and Travis Wyman. But O'Hara right now is hungry for a win here at Indian's home race.
So O'Hara 35.582 for the fastest lap of the race so far. That's his first lap at speed. And of course he qualified at a 36.5, so that's a whole second faster than he did in qualifying. Your number 1 plate. But Hayden Gillum got a much better start than he did in the 3-lap challenge race earlier in the day. But now it comes down to who's got the setup for the long term. There's 6.5 laps to go in Mission King of the Baggers race number 1. Number 1, Tyler O'Hara on that Indian Challenger. That, of course, is the Indian Motorcycles Progressive Mission Foods team, the factory team, versus that Vance & Hines Mission Harley Davidson. And there's just some sections where Hayden Gillum's able to close up on O'Hara. A little wider line there, trying to carry some speed through this tight section. That's turn 8 into turn 9 where the chicane is. Then we get it to 10-11 area, and then 12-13 onto the front straightaway.
The guy that we're going to have to pay attention to over the next 7 laps is in 4th now, Bobby Fong. He's on a flyer lap this lap. Quickest second split of anybody in the race. You can see him just up there in the back. He's going to be trying to hunt down Rispoli. So for Fong, not the greatest of starts on that bike, and now he's trying to charge forward. This will be the fastest lap of the race. And Fong, as he comes across the line now, a little bit further back, the battle for 5th between Onsorg, Wyman, West, and Jake Lewis is raging, and to see our points leader on the 33, Kyle Wyman, so far back. It's really unusual to see him this far back, and this could have big championship ramifications because we know Rispoli is not that far back in the points.
Yeah, Rispoli's 5 points back, and then Hayden Gillum's 18 points back. So for Kyle Wyman, he's got to really hold on to this position and really chip his way up to minimize the damage here that's being done in this race. And of course, at the same time, he's got to get as much data as he can, see if they can figure this motorcycle out. Of course, Kyle Wyman was the champion Mission King of the Baggers. He's riding the 33 on that Harley-Davidson Screaming Eagle Road Glide. And Hannah Moore on the 33.
Kyle Wyman was feeling like a bit down on laps yesterday, especially after that rain session and first practice not going according to plan. They only had 15 minutes this morning before that challenge race, and they made some big changes to try and find some more grip for Kyle and find some more speed, and they were feeling optimistic before the race started. We'll see how things unfold here in the remaining laps.
Fastest lap of the race so far is Bobby Fong at a 1:35.448. He's up the road trying to chase down James Rispoli in 3rd. As we're looking at Onsorg in 5th, Kyle Wyman in 6th, Corey West in the mix on the 13 as well.
Wyman made the pass there on the exit of the chicane. Looked like Onsorg maybe either missed a gear or just didn't get out of there as nicely as he needed to. So that's points for Wyman as far as that goes. You can see Corey West now. He wants to take a shot at Onsorg as they get under the little bridge here. The last turn onto the main straightaway.
Bobby Fong once again coming across the stripe and goes fastest lap of the race again, a 1:35.354 for the Californian. And he's right on Rispoli.
Yeah, he's got pace, and he's, 2.3 off the lead. So he's got to try to make pretty quick work of James if he's going to have any hope of trying to catch back up to these two. Last year we watched Bobby make an incredible pass on the outside in turn 3. But he's got a little bit of work to do before he gets to that point. As you see here on the right side, Kyle Wyman just opening up that gap over Onsorg in that battle for 5th. And the 2 leaders are on the left.
Number 10, Travis Wyman in 9th place. With about 4.5 laps to go in Mission King of the Baggers. Kyle Wyman pulling away from his group in 5th spot. That's worth 11 points. So that pass on Onsorg benefited Wyman by 1 point. Here we are back up front with the number 1 Tyler O'Hara and Hayden Gillum still in the mix, and just behind them is Rispoli trying to hold off the advances of Bobby Fong.
Trying to see, I don't know if Fong made the pass. I thought he had. Yes,
he has. Yeah, Fong
has made the pass, so he's moving forward, Greg, and we'll have to look and see what this lap time is going to be as he backs that big Indian in to turn 11.
He's won here before, and Bobby loves this racing circuit, Brainerd International Raceway. The question is, with 4 laps to go, was it too much at the start of the race for Fong to make up? He was your pole sitter, but just did not have a good start at all.
Yeah, but he's making up time right now. He just runs on that lap a 35.5. The leaders in front of him, 35.7 and 35.9. He's got it down to 2 seconds. He still has a lot of time in this race, Greg. 4 laps to go on these bikes. And I believe that when he's got clear track in front of him, he could be upwards of half a second quicker than the guys in front of him. So we're looking at the first splits. They're exactly the same. 18.2 for the leader, 18.3 for Gillum, 18.2 for Fong. So he hasn't made anything up in that first split.
And Jason, for Bobby Fong, he was really hoping for the opportunity to get out front early on. He felt like he had the pace to lead, and he did acknowledge how hard it is to pass here. So I know he's disappointed having to kind of claw his way back to the front. And we talked about Hayden Gillum pulling triple duty Bobby Fong also has quite a tall order on his plate this weekend working for Dainese, and he also raced in the Superbike race earlier today as well as that Mission Challenge. So Bobby Fong just kind of trying to keep his head down and chip away at this gap little by little here.
Yeah, the team, Zach Mile, STI Racing, Roland Sands, Indian Challenger of Bobby Fong. Jane, it almost looks like maybe the advancements towards these two has stalled out for Fong for the moment.
Well, Greg's second split, he did close up a little bit, and even in the third split, he's closed up just by a couple tenths. The first one, he didn't, but it looks it's going to be difficult for him. There's no question about that, especially as hard as he's having to ride to catch these two up in front. But again, as you and I both know, if these two guys start to get together at all, it looks like Gillum is really closing the gap on O'Hara. I expect him to try to maybe do something down in turn 3 this lap. This is as close as we've seen him. You could see Fong just off the back of there, but O'Hara strong through turn 2. Gillum trying his best to move up to the back of him, but Gillum looks like he's gathered himself a little bit here, had some pace. At the beginning, it looked like O'Hara was going to pull away ever so slightly, and Gillum just hasn't let that happen.
Through that really fast section through the overhead shots between turns 1 and 2, it looked like it. Here comes Hayden Gillum.
Oh, O'Hara's
got a big problem.
Big problem for O'Hara as he rides the bike off the track.
Wow, so just like that for Tyler O'Hara, and he ends up having to get off the motorcycle.
I wonder what happened there. And it was almost like he couldn't get the bike slowed down at all. It was, I saw him pull over. That was weird.
Great skill to avoid disaster. See if we can see it.
I don't see any smoke. Obviously the bike loses power, but it's like he's not really getting a lot of braking done before the bike rolls off the track, and it just tips over in the grass there before he got to the tire wall.
Yeah, he had to jump off that thing and dump it.
Really interesting, but what a bummer for this guy, because
and for Indian Motorcycles in general, because this is their home track and they wanted to win, and Tyler O'Hara was in a good spot. But just like that, something Kyle Wyman didn't want to see in this championship is now Hayden Gillum and Bobby Fong with James Rispoli. They're going to advance. So for Hayden Gillum, once again, Jay, he's sitting back.
Oh, you can see Bobby's looking for a flag to be thrown. Did you see the? So I don't know if maybe there was some fluid on the track. That there might be some fluid on the track from where O'Hara was, because you saw Bobby giving the flag or the business there about trying to maybe red flag the race.
So a lap and a half to go. Hayden Gillum with an 0.8 of a second lead. You can see Bobby grabbing for a tear off on his helmet. That's also another indicator that maybe there's something going on.
Wait to see how tight these two guys are. If they both stay over to the far left-hand side of the track, and Hayden's not, he's going to go right back over to the right. So obviously doesn't look like there's anything on the track there. Hayden opened up the radius of that turn a lot, and that was out by where O'Hara was. And in this class, Greg, it's just attrition. I mean, the points get jumbled around so often because of attrition and things like that. And all of a sudden now, unless it's Hayden, I don't know if Hayden's got something strange going on, because Bobby is still gesturing.
He has a look over his shoulder, does the 50 of Fong. They're getting close to the end of this lap. The white flag should
go.
Does. Yeah, Hayden's got something going on.
Hayden's got something going on his bike. That's the problem. So Bobby Fong is trying to warn people that Hayden's got something going on that bike.
As we take a look under acceleration to see if we can see anything.
And earlier this morning, we saw Rispoli, Hayden Gillum's teammate, have a problem.
Boy, it looks intermittent if there's anything going on, but the white flag is out. And of course, that's not going to be comfortable for Bobby Fong, even if he had the pace to close the gap. I mean, I don't know if that was an incident where he just ran off and it was a big puff of like dirt.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, Bobby's definitely kept his distance, though, hasn't he? I mean, he was closing in at a pretty rapid rate, and he's just sort of kept his distance. So, and as a rider, you want to get up alongside the guy and tell him if there is an actual problem on the bike. But so far, it doesn't look like there's been anything really bad happening with Gillum here.
I think that might have been a case where he just kind of maybe touched the dirt.
Could have been.
There's a big puff of dirt behind him. Doesn't seem like he's got any real movement in the rear end of the bike on this final lap. And he was able to go 136 flat last time around, and a 135.5 was the best lap for Hayden Gillum.
Yeah,
so
interesting.
For Bobby Fong, definitely his charge toward the front has stalled out. Rispoli with 4 seconds over Kyle Wyman, who just went his fastest lap of the race at a 136. Then Corey West in 5th. Jake Lewis has gotten around Onsorg for 6th, Travis Wyman in 8th, and Danny Eslick in 9th. So here we go. And see right there, it just looks like, I'm not really sure, maybe it's some debris from the tire coming up or whatever, but it looks like he's fine. The bike's running just fine. There's the 79 of Hayden Gillum on the Vance & Hines Mission Harley-Davidson on that road glide. Had a fine race with an early exit from Tyler O'Hara. And towards the checkered flag, and it'll be Hayden Gillum who takes victory here at Mission King of the Baggers. Race number 1, Bobby Fong home in 2nd. And here comes James Rispoli to take 3rd. And another podium for Rispoli and Kyle Wyman after the Rispoli-Wyman incident earlier on in the race, able to hold on to 4th place. Now we'll see what happens with this championship. There's the race pace, a 35.5 on lap number 3 for Gillum. And Jay, if you look at it, the difference between 1st, Gillum, and 4th place, Kyle Wyman, is 12 points. It was 16 points the difference. And of course, 5 between Rispoli and Kyle. I think Kyle's going to hold on to this championship lead. We'll find out and talk to our winner on the other side.
Well, we heard Jason talking about a bit of attrition here in this class this weekend, and the guy that really may have benefited from that is Kyle Wyman, because he was outside of that top 5, and with everything unfolding as the race unfolded, finds himself up at 4th.
Yeah, and for Kyle, I mean, that's just a smart ride. Didn't have the speed, and he's here for the title. Has a little bit of a points, and definitely didn't have the speed of the leaders there, and got 4th and a solid points day. Yeah,
and I mean, that's the lesson from somebody with experience, isn't it? Is there are going to be days where you don't have a bike capable for a podium, so you take what you can and hope that people in front of you have a little bit of a problem. The interesting thing is, Bobby Fong, when he pulled up alongside Hayden, you could see him, doing the pretend wipe of his visor, pointing and everything. So interesting what was unfolding out there. But Hayden Gillum, we were just talking about it before we picked up here. 2 wins and a 6th in Superbike on a hybrid Superbike. Not a bad day.
Not a bad day. Might be his new favorite track after this. But he's had a great day, and winning Stock 1000 and great Superbike race, and then now winning again.
Yeah.
Can't get much better than that. And I think Bobby just seen something maybe leaking or a little smoke, because once he caught up to him, he kind of slowed down and backed up. But Hayden did a good job.
Yeah, he did. And you made the observation while we were just watching. For you, looked like Tyler O'Hara may have lost his brakes.
Yeah, it looked like he just went in there and he couldn't stop. And then, the tire wall was coming up pretty quick, and he had to lay it over. That's what it looked like to me.
So lots of things to speculate about, but it is time for us to hear from our podium here in Mission King of the Baggers. And that means for the 2nd time today, we are going to be hearing from Hayden Gillum, Vance & Hines Harley-Davidson, putting it up on top here at BIR.
Mission King of the Baggers coverage is brought to you by Mission Foods, the world's leading brand for tortillas and wraps. By Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. By Geico. Visit geico.com to see how easy covering your ride can be. And by Drag Specialties, an industry-leading distributor of aftermarket parts and accessories for Harley-Davidson and custom V-twin motorcycles.
Here are your results as Hayden Gillum wins 2.5 seconds over Fong and Rispoli, who finishes with about a bag and a half. And Kyle Wyman in 4th, Corey West, Lewis, Onsorg, Travis Wyman, and Danny Eslick rounding out your top 9. Let's get right down to Hannah.
Hayden Gillum, today's race winner, and based on Bobby's gestures, it seemed like maybe Hayden was having a problem out there on track. Hayden, were you feeling anything going on with the bike underneath you?
No, it was no. The bike felt awesome. He said there might have been a little oil or something coming out, but yeah, nothing that I noticed. It was yeah, that was awesome. It sucks that I don't know what happened with Tyler. He kind of all of a sudden pulled off to the side, and man, me and him were going. We had a good pace. I was just he was strong in some spots that I couldn't go with him, and then I had a few spots where I could get it back. And man, the Vance & Hines Mission Harley was was working good today. This is good. This is a good feeling, and second win of the day for me. So hopefully we can do it again tomorrow.
Congratulations, Hayden Gillum. You're our Mission King of the Baggers race winner, guys.
Yeah, quite a win for Hayden Gillum. Our coverage continues from Brainerd, Minnesota on the other side of this.
And the second appearance by the snoozer there on his shoulder in victory lane as well. He's awake this time, and look at that. There's a grin. There's a grin. My daddy's a two-time winner today. Not too shabby here. Interesting that Hayden was not feeling anything. A miss with the bike. So that's it's a good sign. Obviously, Bobby was sensing something out there, but this has just been Hayden's day.
Really has. I mean, and all weekend. And, at Laguna, he was really fast in the King of the Baggers, and then had that crash and kind of put him back. So he's definitely been fast the last couple races. And we've talked about it all year. Vincent Hines Harley has really made a big step this year.
And let's take a look at the schedule for tomorrow. Obviously, we're going to have a little bit of activity in the morning with warm-ups, but at 11:15 Eastern, 10:15 local, we get Medallia Superbike warm-up. Then our lone race for the Royal Enfield Built Train race category. Then Steel Commander Stock 1000 Race 2 Junior Cup Super Sport Medallia Superbike Race 2. And then we wrap things up once again with Mission King of the Baggers. So that's what's going to be coming at you in MotoAmerica Live Plus. For Jamie and Roger, I'm Greg Creamer. It has been a treat having you with us here in MotoAmerica Live Plus. Congratulations to Hayden Gillum, two-time winner today, and the rest of the podium contenders in all the classes. We will be back with you on MotoAmerica Live Plus tomorrow. Time to get back over to Jason and Greg.
Hayden Gillum celebrating his victory here at Brainerd, Minnesota. Let's take a look at the highlights of race number 1. Jason, it was an interesting one.
It was. Gillum got a wheelie at the start, and it made Kyle Wyman try to avoid him, and then Rispoli and Kyle hit each other as hard as you'd like. And then Rispoli had, like you said, half a bag left on that one side, but at the front, it was Tyler O'Hara, Hayden Gillum, James Rispoli up at the front. Bobby Fong, who had got a bad start, was trying to make his way forward, as was the 33 as he goes past Ohnsorg here. He's going to gain some valuable points as Wyman 4th place on a bad day. Now, for the 50 of Bobby Fong, he kept on creeping forward. He got by Rispoli, started closing up on the 2 leaders. Then this really strange incident happens with Tyler O'Hara as he runs straight off the track, would eventually just kind of tip over in the grass. Fong would try to close up on the back of Hayden Gillum, but then you can see here, it looks like Bobby Fong is gesturing that there is some sort of fluid coming off the back of Gillum's bike. He would actually drop back a little bit. Gillum would go on to win this race, Greg, put himself right back in that championship points race. And for Gillum, like you heard him say, 2 wins on the day. Good day for him.
A great run for Hayden Gillum, and he didn't feel anything on the bike, but can he get it done again, as Bobby was trying to tell him what was going on. Here's the championship point standing. So Kyle Wyman, 2 points and 6 points over Hayden Gillum. We are in the midst of an outstanding Mission King of the Baggers championship. Jason, tomorrow is going to be interesting, and Kyle Wyman's got to figure out how to close the gap.
Yeah, it's been really strange to see Kyle a little bit off the pace. We're not used to seeing that. He's going to go to work with his Factory Harley team and see if he can't do something about it tonight, I'm sure.
Yeah, and we're going to find out what happened with Tyler O'Hara and his incident. I know he's up and okay, but that was awfully strange. We talked about it in the break. So these riders getting ready to celebrate on the podium after a very interesting race here in Mission King of the Baggers. Well, that'll do it for us for this one. Can't wait to see you again. For Hannah and Jason, I'm Greg. See you.
For Bobby Fong, the 2nd place finish comes on the edge of the high hopes that you had to get a race win today. But what do you take away from this King of the Baggers race?
I could take away, man, this thing's handling really good. This STI Rolling Sands Indian is handling like a dream out there. So unfortunately we got 2nd, but hey, I'll take the points and move forward to tomorrow. And yeah, just keep digging, and a little misfortune at the end of the race there, but hey, it's all a part of racing, and we'll just keep digging and we'll go again tomorrow.
Head held high, the podium finish. He said it, the points ever so important, but maybe not even any more important than they are for James Rispoli in the middle of this championship right now. To find yourself back on the podium, how significant is this?
Yeah, it's massive. We obviously didn't have what it took to win today. Tyler and Hayden were doing blistering pace. The guys at Vance and Hines were, they gave me a good package, but I just didn't quite have it for them. Off the start, I don't know if Hayden just didn't get the launch he did, and then Kyle swung left to miss him, and I was right there, and we got collected, and I don't know what actually happened to Kyle, but hopefully he finished the race and all that. But you know, it's not the way we want to be on the podium, but we'll take it today, and, you know, we'll do north and continue to collect points, and on our good days, we'll fight for wins.
That's James Rispoli. They're wrapping up our podium finish for this first race of the King of the Baggers Championship. Look at these fans. Steve, I'm going to have you turn around. These fans have been out here in the sunshine all day long, applauding and watching their favorite riders. Thank you to all of them. Thank you for everybody for staying out here and continuing to watch our coverage throughout the day. We will have much more from here on the paddock and on pit lane tomorrow.